Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Annalisa and this is Homemade Sunshine. So in this week's video, I'm going to be reviewing the books I have read for the months of May and June. So it's a mixture of library books, it's a mixture of devotionals, Christian living type books, nonfiction, fiction, the whole gamut here. So I have some books from the library, so I will insert here the number of how many books I've read total because I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but I've got some library books, and then the books that I have been reading I always just keep in this little cute Kate Spade tote bag to share with you guys after I'm finished with them. And we have a grand total of how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 books that were not library books. So if you're wondering, I read a good amount of library books this month, and there are some really awesome books in that bunch. So let's jump ahead to my library book reviews. Hey y'all, so I've got 2 library books to review for you guys today. You'll have to excuse my hot mess hair because I just got out of the shower and I need to go take these books back. So I've got 2 really good nonfiction reads today. The first one, which I'm covering up my library with this bookmark, is The Clutter Fix. It is by Shannon Acheson. I don't know if that's right. The no-fail stress-free guide to organizing your home. And she is the author of Homemade Lovely and the editor and designer at homemadelovely.com. I have never seen her content prior to this book, and it was pretty good. Like, if you need something like kind of a hand-holding guide to getting your home decluttered, maybe your house is just like hot mess express at the moment, which it happens, then I think this is a really great book for you. I liked it. It wasn't my absolute favorite book ever, just because I've moved twice in the past 2 years. So my house has been staying pretty decluttered because I keep having to move. Which we're not moving anymore, but you know, that's a really easy way to keep your house decluttered, is move a whole lot. So it is really good though if you need step-by-step kind of ideas of what to declutter in your home, then this is a really good book. Would I purchase it? No, but it is a good workbook if you need that sort of a thing, such as she has like pages like 30-day whole home declutter method, and that is a really great tool for somebody if you want to be able to just be like, okay, day 1 do this, check, day 2 do this, check, and different decluttering methods and that sort of thing. So all of that is really helpful. It just wasn't really helpful for this season of my life. And then this next book, The Surprising Science of Walking for Wellness and Joy 1 Week at a Time, 52 Ways to Walk by Annabelle Streets. I loved this book. It is so awesome. It is broken up into 52 different, like 52 weeks, so 52 chapters, and they're short. I mean, don't think like, oh my gosh, this is a super thing, but giving ideas and science behind different ways to walk, such as sketch as you walk, walk like a pilgrim, walk with others, walk in an evergreen forest, all sorts of ideas. It's really good. I love it. Melds together conventional wisdom with actual scientific studies, which I was a huge fan of, such as like going for a walk after dinner, and then it's telling you why scientifically that's a good thing to do, or why it's good to get fresh air, or like have your hands in the soil, all of those things. So if that sciencey part of it really interests you, I would say this is a really great book, and it does give a whole lot of reasons and ideas of ways to walk, like the book says. It's excellent. I highly recommend this. I love it. It's been what's encouraged me to go walk, which, you know, after I film this, I'm actually going to go walk and then take my library books back. So I think it's wonderful, the science behind it, how much it benefits you to do different types of walking. I can't recommend this book enough. If your library does not have it, I'd recommend them to buy it. If you want to read this book, tell your library to pick it up because it is really good. It's a relatively, well, I say relatively, it's very new. This book is pretty new. So unless your library's recently purchased it, the copyright's 2022. So it's a very new release. So just look around. Your library may not have it, but you can always request for them to purchase it. Or just read it for yourself. It's very good. I greatly appreciated all the different ideas, and I think it will inspire you. If you need some motivation to get into a walking routine, this book's gonna do it for you. All right, y'all, I've got 2 more library books to recommend. One I honestly just finished a few minutes ago, so we're gonna get right into it. The book was called How the First Women Doctors Changed the World of Medicine, Women in White Coats, by Olivia Campbell. And this is the cover, and it's exactly like the little title says. It's about the first women to try to become physicians that became physicians in like the Victorian era, in like the 1850s roundabout. And it details specifically 3 women, but it talks a lot about a bevy of other women that were involved in the movement at the time. Y'all, I like started to tear up at the end. So this book's a little over 300 pages, and it's very good. If you're not somebody who's super interested in medicine, I don't think that this would be like, it's not a beach read. I wouldn't call it like a super fun, relaxed read, but it's really interesting if you're somebody who loves history and you also like how that coincides with medicine, which is something that I always find interesting. Like, I love the show called The Midwife, so this book was like right up my alley. It's just wild, for on one hand, to hear like some of the beliefs that they had back then about how diseases were caused and how they were treating things at that time, which is just shocking. Like how they had no idea about like germ theory and how basically washing your hands was gonna help a whole lot of things. Nobody had figured that out yet at this point. And just all the obstacles that were set up in their way to prevent women from becoming physicians. And I almost teared up at the end because they were talking about like all the ways that women have contributed to medicine over the years, their discoveries, their findings, and, you know, propelling medicine forward since, you know, 1850 to now. And that part made me tear up. I was like, because I feel like you think, I mean, especially as a woman, you think about all the times that you preferred having maybe a female physician, and that's something they talk a lot about in this book, that especially in a very tight moral code society like Victorian era England, which is where a lot of this takes place. Some of it does take place in America. That women don't necessarily want to go with their like gynecological problems to some random man that they don't know. And it's something that is echoed even still today. Like, it's easier for sometimes women to just relate to other women. And it just reminds me how, like, you know, God gives us all gifts and talents, and you know, when we follow those callings is when we are able to best live out God's plan and desires for our lives. And, you know, this is what he desired for them. This is, you know, their path, and how so many of these women were able to revolutionize medicine and make way for other women to further go on with this. Such as, like, let me read you what one of the women did, because I was like just so shocked when this is in the epilogue talking about like a lasting legacy. Like, one woman isolated a strain of diphtheria bacillus, I think I'm saying that's right, I'm not sure, to develop an antitoxin for the disease, which is, you know, amazing. Another woman also designed a foolproof applicator for the medication given to newborns to prevent blindness, because that was something I didn't know. There was a lot of blindness with newborns at this time from venereal disease that was not being treated. So, you know, they talked about one of the girls when I shouldn't say girls, one of the women, when she went up to present her thesis, talked about treatments for migraines, many of which are still even utilized to this day. So all super interesting. Oh, hey, Miss Kitty. You want to tell them about the book? Yeah. She just wanted to come up and say hi. So, very good book. A little heart-wrenching at times, but very, very good. The next book is How to Sew a Button and Other Nifty Things Your Grandma Knew, a money-saving, heartwarming, life-simplifying guide by Erin Breed. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. This is an older book. I think it was published in like around the financial crisis. of 0809, and it is super great. It's split up into all these different sections, like with like cooking, sewing, entertaining, all of these different things, and they're just in small sections where they'll just tackle something like Spice Up Your Life, which is about growing an herb garden, and then they'll have more nifty tips. I actually even wrote down a bunch of these tips in my notes app because they were so good. There's things about cleaning, gardening, all just honestly really great tips. And the woman who authored this book, she consulted with a bunch of, as at the time, grandmothers who had grown up during the Great Depression and like remembered a lot of it, had been like, you know, young women, teens during the Great Depression, and could pass on so much of their knowledge to women who were now facing difficulties during the financial crisis, which is what compelled this author to write this book. So those are my library books. Okay, now that you're back, we'll start reviewing the books that I have read this month from my own collection that will be getting passed on to other places. So first is The Cross Country Quilters by Jennifer Shiverini. You can see I got this at one point from McKay Bookstore for $3, or not $3, for $1. So that was a really good deal. This is the third book in the Elm Creek Quilters series, and I loved this. So this is building off of, there's a prequel, I would call it, to how the Elm Creek Quilters get started. There's a first novel, and then this being the third was just so well because it brought in new characters as campers that are coming to the quilting group. So it follows how many women? 5 women who are working on a challenge quilt. They meet and they're all going through different struggles in their life, and they make a pact that they will not work on their piece of the challenge quilt until they have faced the thing that they are avoiding. So it's really nice. All of these women are vastly different backgrounds, places that they're at in their lives. But it's really sweet. I like this description on the back. It says, the cross-country quilters find their close friendship tested by the demands of their individual lives, yet despite differences in age, race, and background, the women's love of quilting and affections for one another unite them. The quilt they create becomes a symbol of the threads that hold their lives together, a glorious patchwork of caring, loyalty, and acceptance that brings home an enduring truth. Friends may be separated by great distance, but the strength of their bond can transcend any obstacle. And I think that's just beautifully written. She covers some very tough subjects in this book, such as infidelity. I think that was in the last book as well. There are some great talks about aging. There's also, you know, issues that women face as young mothers or mothers that still have children at home, even if they are like slightly older. And I just thought it was just beautifully written. I think any age can enjoy this because, you know, there's older women struggling with problems that older women face, and there's younger women with their issues. So this book was about 350-ish pages, and the typeface is relatively small, so it's a good thick book. So the two that precede this, I'll show you, is Round Robin and the Quilter's Apprentice. And I really didn't know that they were going to start bringing in other characters into the third book in this series. I thought we were just going to stay following the women in the initial 2 series that work at the quilt camp, that founded it, or are just employees there. But I like this deviation. I think that's how you can really keep this sort of a book going, is by bringing in new characters. So I love this. I've already got books 4, 5. I've already got actually quite a few of the books, but I got books 4, 5, and 6 in. It's called an Elm Creek Quilts album. I just cannot get that word out. Where it has 3 of those books all in one giant book. So I don't normally love to buy books like that are all combined into one, but it was significantly cheaper. It was basically paying $3 for that book, or $9 for those 3 books individually when I was looking at them. So not that I was paying any money. A lot of the times I do, you know, I sell my books to used bookstores so I can collect other books from series that I am trying to finish out and read. So there's that. Next, I have started a new guidepost mystery series. So this is Mysteries of Martha's Vineyard. This book was A Light in the Darkness, and purchased this back in the day for $1.98 from a DAV thrift store in Virginia Beach. So this book series, luckily, I have all of this book series and I thrifted it all in its entirety at the same exact time from the thrift store. So very happy about that. I can read at my own pace, and I'm already working on book 2 as we speak right now. And it is introducing you to Priscilla Latham. I'm trying to make sure there wasn't an N in there, who has inherited a lighthouse from I think like a great aunt of hers, and she's moving from the Midwest to Martha's Vineyard, and all of the mysteries surviving. They're like an old family that's well established, and you find out why did her family leave Martha's Vineyard and the things that are pulling her back, whether or not she's going to stay or go. Newsflash, you imagine she's going to stay because there's like 25 books in this series, so that one you kind of already know that it's going to be like that. But this, she lives in a very old home, which I love stories of old homes because I live in an old home myself. Now, granted, this home that she's living in is like, makes my house look like a new build, but all of the secrets that are hidden within her home and hidden on the island, and I really enjoyed it. You get to meet her cousins in this book, and I have a feeling that the cousins are going to be a big role of friendship and family in these books, and it's just wonderful. I love these books. They are about 250 pages, each book in the Guidepost Mystery series, and they are just lighthearted. Well, not always lighthearted. They're light reads, I guess I should say, not lighthearted, but they're light reads. You know, good always ends up triumphing over evil, if that's something that you are concerned about in books. There's usually nothing too salacious. Every once in a while there'll be something crazy go on, but I really think that they keep them like clean mysteries. No gratuitous adult content. I'm trying to think of a way to say it that is appropriate, but no gratuitous R-rated content. I really do not like that in books, and that even if there is love between characters, it's not like the main focus of a book, like The Secrets of Blue Hill Library. There is some romance that comes through it, but it's not like the main focus of the book. So enough of that rambling to say, really awesome book. Very excited to read this series, and I think it's going to be good. And what a great thing to be reading in the summer anyways. So now we're moving into Christian books. Well, I mean, that was a Christian book, but this is a Christian living book that I thrifted for 50 cents. Grace, Not Perfection, Embracing Simplicity, Celebrating Joy by Emily Lay. And this book, let's see how many pages, was a little over 200 pages. And I thought it was very good. I think if you know somebody who is a young, like about to become a mother, that's also working, I think this is a great book for that demographic. She runs a company doing, I think it's called the Simple Day Planner. She talks about it a lot throughout the book, and a lot about balancing being like having these career aspirations with also like motherhood and things of that nature, and you know, investing your time and like how to prioritize your time and find your community, all sorts of things. And she talks about like there's like different chapters that are all about finding grace with different groups, like grace with your people, grace with yourself, talking about fulfilling, you know, making sure you're not pouring from an empty cup, all sorts of things. And just how she structures her life. And I thought it was really beautiful. There were some very good points in it. And even though that's not where I'm at in my life, because I am a full-time homemaker, I do not work outside of the home other than doing, you know, my YouTube stuff, but I don't make money doing this, so it's not really a job. I say it has to be paying me money for me to count it as a job. But just how to trim the excess out of your life to make room for what matters. And I think that's beautiful. And I thought there was a lot of very good stories in here. There's a really, really good story about how her dad had to overcome some adverse problems in his life. So I think it's a very sweet, very good book. And like I said, if you know somebody who's pregnant and going to continue to work, they have like big career ambitions, I would say this would be a great book to gift them with. Next is a book from Daily Grace Co. called 30 Truths for Common Lives for Women. Now, I actually picked this up at a thrift store, and first off, love Daily Grace Co.'s aesthetic and their designs of their books. They're beautiful. I loved this. This is a great thing to do with your Bible study or to just read at night. And it is just like it says, 30 Truths for Common Lives for Women. And they have like in their preface talking about, these might not all apply to you, but some of them might, and, taking scripture and debunking these lies. So I'll just tell you a couple of them. My past disqualifies me. I am a bad parent or spouse. I am alone. I need to do what is best for me. I messed up God's plan for me. I mean, there's some very deep stuff in here. And I honestly think this would be so good for somebody who, I feel like in the end of their teen years, like maybe a senior graduating high school, going off to college, I think this is a beautiful book to give to somebody that they can read when they're on their own, like especially somebody who's going off on their own for the first time, whether that's they're getting married and leaving their parents' house or something, and you might not always have somebody to tell you these things of, that you're not a failure, that you can change that, what you're doing is not meaningless, all these different things. And they're short reads. They have just a little section. They have an action step at the end, whether it's like to memorize a set of verses or something that you need to think about. And it's just very good. It's short, it's skinny, and I think this is great for somebody who is going out in the world. Or if you have anxiety or low self-esteem, I think this is another really wonderful thing, because honestly, all of these things, I can't imagine that there's one woman who's never thought any of these things about herself. Or even if you're like somebody who's really overconfident, even just believing the lie, like, I'm in control of my life. Like, well, you're not. Because God's in ultimate control of our lives no matter, what we're doing. So, lovely book. Great to add to a Bible study, and a great giftable book because it's nice and small. So, last but not least is a devotional that I've been working through for a very long time, because it's 86 pages, and they are day by day pages. So they're small like this. You're supposed to do like one a day. I got this out of a free little library when we lived in our last rental home before we purchased this house. And it is called Worry Less, Pray More, A Woman's Devotional Guide to Anxiety-Free Living by Donna K. Maltese. Honestly, one of the best small, like short devotionals I have ever read. It's amazing. It's awesome. It starts with a verse. It gives you a thing describing that verse, and then it gives you a prayer. And I think it's honestly so good. You can see the person before me like dog-eared a lot of pages. And it's so good that I do not think I'll get rid of it, because I think it is something that I will continue throughout my life to revisit and read these things. It's a really good thing if you are somebody who's anxious before bed, which that's usually the time that I get anxious. And I think that is for a lot of women. I've heard of that in the medical sense, if you're going through like menopausal symptoms, perimenopause, it can increase your anxiety levels as your hormones start to fluctuate. And this is a great thing to help, I say, calm you down before bed, is to read, God's promises, these beautiful things talking about be still, come away with God, always there, the peace of God's kingdom, serving God at such a time. And I think it's very soothing. And like I said, I think this is really awesome. If you are somebody who is anxious, this is a great thing to read before bed. I think it's helped me like be able to calm down and sleep better, because I'm usually one of those people who either gets anxious, or I just start like thinking of all the things I need to do, and then you get anxious because, well, you don't have time to do them right now. You're supposed to be going to sleep. So you're just laying there like, okay, well, I need to do this tomorrow, and this and this and this and this. But I highly recommend this book. I don't know if I would gift this to anybody unless somebody's come to you and told you that you're struggling with anxiety, because they might take this as like I would say a backhanded gift where you're like, oh, you seem anxious, here's this. So I would not give this as a gift unless somebody has come to you talking about anxiety. But it's very sweet. There, the back says, what do you worry about most? No matter your age, there's likely one thing, probably more, that worries you day and night. Whether you worry about work, your relationships, finances, the turmoil of the world, or something more, this devotional guide will help alleviate your anxiety-inducing thoughts as you learn to live in the freedom of Almighty God, who offers calm for your harried soul. As you read the devotions and prayers, you'll grow ever closer to the anxiety reliever himself, who will transform your anxious heart into a heart overflowing with peace. Read on and discover the worry-free life today. So it's very good. I just can't recommend this enough. And for me to have gotten this for free out of a little library was just incredible. So those are my recommendations. I would say my favorite book I've read in the past 2 months, devotional wise, would be this. I would really think, even though 30 Truths for Common Lies is also very good, they're good in different ways, but both are very good. I think great reassurances to yourself. And then the best book I think I've read overall, honestly, was the 52 Ways to Walk book. I think that is a life-changing book. If you want something to help inspire you to get out there and be active in some sort of way, I think that's the book. It's really good. I love the science in it. I could see a lot of people not enjoying it because of the science, but each chapter is so short because she wrote it, that you're supposed to like do it every week. Like 52 Ways to Walk is 52 weeks in the year, so you read one for the week. And if you owned the book and you didn't get it from the library, you could do that. So I would say those are probably my 2 favorites this month. So if you enjoy these book hauls, please be sure to give me a thumbs up on this video and leave a comment down below. What is your favorite book that you have read so far this summer? I just read a book that I finished in July, so even if I started reading a book in June, I won't recommend it until I've finished it. So for the July-August video, watch out for that, because I've already read one book that was amazing, incredible, and I can't wait to share that in the next video. I thought about sharing in this one, but I'm gonna hold back and wait to share it. So be sure to consider subscribing. I do these book hauls about every 2 months. If you enjoy these kind of things, I just like to review from, a Christian perspective of what books I enjoy. I didn't feel like there were people doing a lot of book reviews on YouTube that I saw personally of like a wide variety of books being reviewed from the Christian perspective. Like I've seen Christian influencers review like devotionals or sort of things like that, but also just a wide gauntlet, like nonfiction books and Christian fiction and all of those sorts of things. So I will see you guys next week. Bye.